There's been a couple signings today. We're going to go over it. Some are looking for redemption and others are looking for kind of a one-year stint to most likely get a big salary blockbuster deal in 2026. Let's get into it.
That one was nasty.
Got him looking. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
He's getting the results.
Donaldson left at second base.
It's a base hit down the left field line.
Jansen slams the ball to left field. Going back, Kirilloff out of here.
Welcome to Touching Bases Podcast. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Also, note that we are going to start a giveaway as of this video. This is going to be, let's see, it's Friday today, so going into next Friday, I'll be doing a giveaway. It's not going to be anything huge, but if you guys are interested, every single week I'm going to try and give away some stuff. I have way too much memorabilia, so if you subscribe to the channel, that's the only thing you got to do. On top of, comment down below your guys' thoughts and your opinions. Keep the comments relative. I don't want just random things thrown down there. I would prefer to actually engage with you guys and build some sort of rapport. I have a ton of collectors cards, memorabilia, signed jerseys. If you're interested, let me know. I will be purchasing more and we'll just keep this going. So subscribe and comment down below at the very end. Starting with one that just happened recently, the reason why I'm rushing to get this out to you as soon as possible is Shane Bieber. Shane Bieber has signed with the Guardians. Dun dun dun. So nothing has really changed there. In fact, he's not going to be back till mid-season next year, so that also means that he's probably going to play as much as he did last year and as much as he pitched in his Cy Young Award winning season, which was 2020, where he had a 1.63 ERA. He struck out 41% of the batters that he faced and only walked 7%. I mean, his ground ball rate was nearly 50%. It's like 48.6. Might be wrong on that. Go ahead and fact check me and leave it in the comments down below. And although he didn't obviously perform as good as he did in 2020 because it's a longer season, which is obvious there, he wasn't bad. I mean, some people say like, oh, he fell off a cliff. Not really. I mean, he wasn't injured or anything like that. He posted a 3.17 ERA. His strikeout rate did go down to 33%, but still, that's less than 10% less, and his walk rate relatively stayed the same, and he did miss about 3 months due to a right shoulder strain. I'm not exactly sure where it was, but I know that he had a strain that year in 2021. So it's like he didn't really do bad. He just didn't do his Cy Young worthy year of 2020, which was very short. And I don't know if I really want to count it, but he was also the first one to be unanimously voted in for the Cy Young Award win since Justin Verlander in 2011. So it's still an accomplishment, right? Well, he is going back to the Guardians, and it's per John Heyman. I don't know why he put that out and why it mattered, but I guess he took less money from Cleveland, which is awesome for Cleveland. I mean, if you're a fan of Cleveland, you got lucky because you got a player that really loves where he's at and never really got to, I guess, have a full season. Honestly, he's like the Royce Lewis of pitchers at this point. And the deal is pretty simple for the most part. It is a one-year deal. It's a 1-in-1. You get a 1 year for $10 million, and then he has a club option for he has a club option for the second year, which is $16 million, which is where his $4 million buyout would come in, his $4 million signing bonus. So it'd be $16 million in the second year. Contracts are always getting so complicated nowadays. 10 years this year if he stays, $16 million next year, which means $26 million for 2 years. Looking at the fact that he missed the playoffs this year just because he was injured and the team was the underdog of the entire playoff race for the AL, and I honestly wish that they did win, but of course the Yankees were able to pull through. There were some amazing moments. The Guardians, they stepped up. They fought. They made it a pain for the Yankees to make it to the World Series. And imagine if they had a full rotation healthy in there. Now he might be able to get a full season through here. Now, of course, he has declined over the years. He's not throwing as hard, but we're going to see after this Tommy John surgery. I don't know if they included internal brace. I don't think they did, which is sad because I feel like that probably would have helped him in the long run, at least secure him and prevent it from other injury. But his average fastball was like 91 miles per hour, and that was in 2022. And now that we're going to 2025, who knows where it's gonna be, but he was throwing slower, I think probably because of like arm inflammation. Granted, he was throwing with arm inflammation through 2023, and he still was able to put up 21 starts and 3.80 ERA with 20% strikeout rate, and his velocity was exactly the same as 2022. So even if he does the same as he did back then, a 3.8 ERA, it's not bad. It's really not. And if you compare it to the rest of the league as far as starting pitchers in the rotations, he's actually one of the top ones, and he still is a top one. So for them to sign him for $26 million for 2 years, theoretically, that's a steal for the Guardians, and really worked out in their favor because the Guardians don't exactly have the biggest budget. And so maybe if they are retaining the same guys minus Matthew Boyd, maybe there's a chance that they can go back to the playoffs and utilize Shane Bieber to go a little bit farther. Granted, I understand also on the Guardians' perspective of things, there's been rumors going around and from trusted sources that they are looking to move Lane Thomas. They are looking to move Josh Naylor. They're going into their last year on their contracts, and that the Guardians don't have the funds to re-sign them and sign them to big bucks. Even though I think Josh Naylor should be paid the same of what he's being paid now, because his strikeout rate is horrendous. So that's just my opinion. Lane Thomas, on the other hand, I don't think they'll be able to extend him just because he will be asking for a lot more money, especially what he did in the playoffs. He came through big clutch with a home run, and he was pretty stable throughout the second half of the season with Cleveland, even though he was kind of mediocre with the Nationals at the beginning of the season. Now, some of you might argue with me, but that's just what I witnessed when I was watching both of these teams play. It seemed like Lane Thomas was better in Cleveland after he kind of settled down after the trade. So, huge pickup. Awesome for Cleveland. If you're a Cleveland fan, you're a Guardian, like the video because that's a celebration right there. Whoever many likes I get on this, that means that you're a Guardian fan, you're supporting this. If you are upset, like maybe some Boston fans out there, yeah, you didn't get to sign him. I still think Corbin Burns should be playing in Boston, but that's for another story. On the other hand, Danny Jansen is on the move again and signed a 1-year deal as well. Danny Jansen was kind of platooning at Toronto. That's what he was kind of known for, at least for the last couple of years. And then he was traded to Boston this last year at the deadline. Now, he just signed with the Tampa Bay Rays for a 1-year deal at $8.5 million. And of course, that's pending a physical, but I mean, the deal does include $8 million in salary in 2025 with a mutual option for 2026, which is only like a $500,000 buyout. But that's according to multiple sources online and X, so I'm just going to roll with it. Jansen had a multi-year deal made to him, but I guess he just chose to stick with a place where he's probably going to get more playing time and be probably the front runner as far as playing catcher every single day consistently, which I think something he honestly needs if he wants to build a name for himself outside of Boston and outside of Toronto, where he was kind of platooning with Kirk and Wong and McGuire and all these guys that was just kind of split time. So I think this might be a good move, and I think this is a great pickup for the Rays. They get a somewhat veteran catcher who can get behind the plate, plays well defensively, and I think that can perform better than Ben Rortvedt. Ben Rortvedt. I hate this guy's name, but I know he's not that bad of a player. But I do think that Danny's going to be a better guy behind the dish and really at the plate as well. It's a cheap option for the Rays, and honestly, I'm surprised they got a catcher of his caliber with the stadium situation they're dealing with. Now, I did just read today that St. Pete just approved a $1.3 billion grant today for them to rebuild the stadium and keep them in Tampa Bay, which is why they may have pulled the trigger on Danny Jansen to get him on, because they knew they were getting the funding, so they didn't have to pull all the resources to rebuilding the stadium or looking for a new place to move to, because that's always going to cost money as well. But of course, just kind of like Oakland, they can always back out of that agreement. They just approved $1.3 billion. Doesn't mean they can't be like, nah, never mind. I don't know. Also, it is a 1-year deal, so it may not be so bad. And also, the A's signed their biggest contract ever with Severino, and they are in the same boat. I mean, what do I know? Plus, at the same time, maybe the A's have a little bit more backing from Vegas to make the team good when they arrive to increase the fan base and like the revenue and stuff leading up to 2-3 years from now. So when recording this, and Fangraphs, they haven't really updated the roster for Danny Jansen yet, so I'm just going to assume that Danny's going to be taking over catcher on a regular basis, while Ben is kind of a backup, I would say. I don't see why. He's not bad, but he's just not great. They definitely need an upgrade at catcher, and I do think that Jansen's probably a good option there. Now, this is one less hole for the Rays. I don't know if I'd consider this even one of their biggest holes, but the question is, will they keep going and grab like outfielders to fill the shoes of like Randy Arozarena and Jose Siri, who just went over to the Mets? I mean, what does the outfield look like? I mean, top of my head guess would be trades like using their pitching for 3 soon to be ready MLB outfielders or just prospects in general. And Jansen is going to be working with some young pitching, so I mean he's going to be pretty important as far as development and helping work with them through 2025. And like I mentioned in an earlier video, the Rays would be smart to invest in 2027. I mean, get the top players for the big names that still stand, like Yandy Diaz and Brandon Lau. I mean, they both have 6 years in, and the rest of the team has 2 years or less. I mean, besides Rortvit, Ben Rortvit, I hate this guy's name. I don't think I'm saying it right. He has 3 years in, but besides that, everybody else has less. And if they were to make these trades and get these young guys, they're prepping their team to be like a 2023-2024 Orioles-esque type team, but, you know, maybe develop them better and make it to the World Series. It seems like the type of attitude I'm seeing going into 2025, while spending very little on veteran cats who can be clubhouse leaders, and they're doing it for cheap, but, you know, only for 1 season. 2027, you're looking at Aranda, Caminero, Palacios, DeLuca, and Caballero. Yeah. Aranda was starting to heat up at the end of the season, slashing 234, 308, 430, and then half of a season from Junior Caminero, and he was slashing 240, 229, 424. Very similar numbers, and I mean, that's numbers that you can work with as a team, especially if those are going to be your infielders hitting, your second baseman, your third baseman. I mean, those are not bad numbers for young players that are everyday starters. Now, I don't think they're going to keep this roster by any means. I don't think it would be entirely smart to do this, but I think leading up to 2027, like, they might sign one more veteran to the club to help lead them, like something that's going to be a 1-year deal that they have control over and they can let go, but it's just going to be something to get these younger guys to play better and develop until they get that star team put together. Like I said, that Orioles-esque type of crew. And maybe some trades that might supplement, like DeLuca, because he, I think, batted like a 217 last season, and then also Palacios, I think it was like 227 batting average last year, and like that's just supplement with them for the next 3 years until you get those top prospects you may trade for that will be ready in 2027. I mean, that's just my guess, and that would be my strategy, especially with just all the craziness that's happening in Tampa. So what do you think of the signing? I mean, Rays fans, are you happy they finally got some veteran guy behind the plate? Do you like Danny Jansen? Do you wish they signed somebody else? Is there a position that they wish that they addressed first instead of catcher? Will you be going to any Rays games at Steinbrenner Field? It's not too far away, but still, it might be a little awkward since it's the Yankees, technically. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment if you want to enter that giveaway, and I will see you guys all later.